All right, Grasshoppers. We're a little bit early for this 11:30 show, but we just could not wait. I know people just sit around all week long with their hands on the button, say, okay, it's 11:30 on Monday yet, because I want to listen to Mark Puttenvink. Again, the great Mark Puttenvink. How you doing, bud?
Doing great, man. How was your weekend?
That's good. Very good. So, again, if anybody doesn't know, Mark has a company called Patriot Training Systems. Mark has been a trainer for the Rangers, strength and conditioning coach for the Rangers, for the New England Patriots, all over the place, and very successful. And really, he's done some great stuff working with kids online and everything. So really knowledgeable about the body and exercise and diet and all that kind of stuff. And I've learned a lot from Mark. So sad story to start with. I know Mark coaches hockey a lot, as do I. And I know you know the story already, but this Teddy Balkin, I believe that's how you pronounce the last name, here in Greenwich. He was playing for a school that's in New Canaan, the St. Luke's, and they were playing Brunswick, which is here in Greenwich. And unfortunately, involved in apparently really just a tragic accident. I know people will say that hockey is a violent sport, and it has some scary, but this one is apparently, everybody by all accounts, when I've heard, it was just a total accident, a freak accident that probably will never happen again. Hopefully it never does. But he lost his life, and pretty sad. So 15 years old. And I know you and I coach a lot, and just the thought of being involved in that and seeing a young boy like that lose his life is pretty sad. So tough stuff.
Yeah. So really unfortunate, and it's a horrible, horrible accident. There's always an overreaction sometimes. It's human nature. I mean, this is first time I've ever heard of anything like this. I know a friend of mine's got a pretty sizable scar in the back of his neck where he got stepped on in the crease.
Oh.
But those things are really freakish. Yeah. And if you look at the numbers of it all, your child is more likely to get injured on the way to the rink than this ever happening. It's just a horrible tragedy. A kid was just horrible. Yeah. And we used to make the kids wear the neck guards. I know when my son Sean was playing.
What is the rule on that now?
I don't know, but I don't think it's enforced any longer because I don't see it. I'm not around the youth hockey as much as I was, but even those, they kind of loose fitting. It could have prevented it, maybe. I don't know the full story, but it almost sounds like he died on the operating table.
Yes, apparently that's the case. Yeah.
So we don't know the full story anymore. Either way, he's gone. It's so horrible. It happened because of what happened, but there's no way around a freak accident, I think.
Yeah. So this girls team that I coach here in town, some of the girls knew people that were at the game, and the way they described it was that it was something that they didn't even realize he got hurt initially because it wasn't some horrible collision. So yeah, it's just a terrible accident. But I mean, imagine being the parents and the kids involved.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I know that for our Warriors program, my vice president, my partner, Ted Curtin. So CBS News local had done a story on our program about a year or so ago, right? Like when COVID hit. And they contacted Ted because he does all our media. He's really good with all that stuff. And he was on CBS, and then Fox News bought it, interviewed him very briefly about what his thoughts were. And it was pretty much the same thing. It's just unfortunate situation, unavoidable.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. And you're right. It's a good point with the neck guards too. And again, we don't know what happened to the boy at all, but just aside from him, we should be having all the kids wear the neck guards. It's some of the kids try to get away with it, scrunch it up with tape or whatever because it's annoying. But I think it's a reminder that listen, it doesn't matter if it's annoying or not. They wear the mask now. They need to wear the neck guards.
Even in the NHL, I'm watching the Ranger bench the other night. Their mouthpieces, they sit there and Anaheim is like it's a chew toy.
I know.
And like kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. I remember when I was playing, so I started 1980, masks were, I don't think at first anybody, because that was the first year that they're required to wear a helmet if you had not played previously.
Craig McTavish, I believe, was the last guy not to wear one.
Yeah. And then masks started coming. Actually, one of the best players that started wearing a face shield was Ray Bourque. Yeah, but at that point, it was still, I'll tell you a story. So I got hit in the eye. And the doctor said, well, it doesn't matter now, but put a mask on for now. And then I continued to wear it after everything was fine with my eye. And I remember one of our coaches, and I liked him too, and I won't mention him, but he did come up to me. He says, very sarcastically, I guess you're changing the way you play your game now. Because it was really viewed that if you put the mask on, the shield on, that you were not a tough player at all. Which that's come full circle now. You see guys getting in fights with shields on now. But it is one of those things that, it's protection, and sticks flying.
Yeah.
I had Brian Berard was a client of mine
Mm-hmm.
when he lost his eye to an act. Marion Hossa hit him with a stick, and if he had a shield.
I think initially, Tom, like when you were the perception, I think, was that all the Euros were a face shield. Yep. And back then the perception was Euros were soft.
Yep.
So I think there was like that.
Exactly.
And but yeah, Brian came to New York when I was there.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Silverback. Yeah.
What'd you call him?
We called him Silverback. He's just a big dude, man.
I didn't know you called him Silverback. That's right.
Yeah. Oh. Great kid.
But I remember, so he'd gotten hit his game up in Ottawa. He's playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I think the season about halfway over, or whatever. So obviously he missed that season plus the next full season. And he actually had received his insurance money for career-ending disability insurance with the thought, once you do that, then your career is over with. Right. You're going to move on. And I remember saying to him one time, I said, so why don't you start working with me in the agent business? He had a good personality. People liked him and everything. I thought it'd be great. And him and I were really close. And he says, well, Tom, I still think I can play. Right. And I'm thinking to myself, because I remember, so basically the vision in the eye was basically gone. And I go back to like when he first had the accident, when he was walking in the hospital, and his depth perception was just totally gone. He had to, he's walking through a doorway, he had to hold his hands up and everything. But obviously, as you mentioned, he got back to the point where he could play. Herb Brooks, when he was still alive, he was coaching the, I can't remember which Olympics it was. I put the math together, but anyways, and I had a really good relationship with Herb. So I said, listen, do you mind if Brian comes out and skates with the team in the tryouts? And he says, well, he's not going to get picked for the team. I said, I totally understand. He just wants to skate. He's a real high level of competition. And, I made the rounds, told all the scouts that he was going to be there. And Don Maloney, a former teammate and roommate of mine, was with the Rangers when you were there. He was assistant general manager. So he went to training camp with the Olympic team. I think it was in Colorado, and came back and said, man, he can play. So got him signed to a contract and played. And he won the, what's the trophy for the Masterton Trophy, I think, for Comeback Player of the Year or dedication to hockey. So,
yes.
So that's right. I forgot you were there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy. We really got along well. And but you could see, not every game, but every once in a while he'd get smoked because he couldn't see the guy coming over this side. He said to me he saw shadows kind of in that particular eye. Apparently,
Brian Leetch was there too. And Brian Leetch got a very good sense of humor. And one practice there at Right Playland, and it had really nothing to do with his vision. Brian just messed up. He got too close to the boards and going flying into the boards. And Leetch made some comment to him like, use the other eye. It was pretty funny, but
for a quiet guy, every once in a while, Brian would come out with something like that because he's overall pretty quiet guy.
Yeah. Oh God.
I'll tell you who had a really good sense of humor was Mike Richter.
Yes, I've done
very dry sense of humor.
Yeah.
He got a fracture right above his ear, I believe, playing at home against Atlantic. Took 2 slap shots. I mean, just the real hard rips from the blue line, but they caught him. And he was out for a while. And then one day I'm walking to go into the shower, and he's sitting there. I said, "Hey, Ricky, how you feeling?" He goes, "Oh, much better." He's reading the paper. He goes, "Great to see you, Paul."
You're talking about Berard, and it was reminding me, and I hesitated about telling this story publicly for a while. But so when he came back to the Rangers, they had him do a physical. As you know, it's a normal physical. So the eye test was part of the physical. And then he was 1 year with the Rangers, then he was with Boston, then he's with Chicago, and he's with the Islanders again, I think. So every time he went to a new team, he had to take the new physical, the eye test. Well, he couldn't do the eye test. He couldn't see the chart. So we had gone and we had memorized, there's different eye charts. So we had memorized, like sometimes the E is backwards or upside down or something like that. And so we had them all down, and we had things like, your shoes are ugly today or something like that. That was a code to what
right.
And he had memorized the eye chart.
I love it. That's amazing.
Oh, it was so funny. We were good time. Here I am there. So, no, I've got to go in with him. I'm his agent. I've got to go in and do the test. I said, well, surely no, not necessary. But no, I've got to be there with him. So everybody thought that I was this Mr. Loyal guy, trying to be there with my client. Meanwhile, we're cheating the eye test.
I did something similar in the New York State Athletic Commission for professional boxing. When you saw the doctor the day of the weigh-in, it was pretty perfunctory. They would just take your blood pressure, check your eyes and reflexes and all that. Then they started doing this thing like, all right, Tom, I'm going to give you 5 words. I need you to remember these. Beach, ball, chicken, hammer, umbrella. All right. Just remember those 5 words. And then they go, okay, now I'm going to give you 3 numbers. Give them to me backwards. 1, 2, 3. You sit there. You go 3, 2, 1. And they do this for a bit. And then they'll say, okay, what were the 5 words? And you're like, I can't remember. It was like,
yeah.
Right. So I started, because I had been through it a few times. They were always using the same 5 words. So got to a point after one fight, I was walking by and the doctor was walking by. I went, beach, and all of a sudden he was laughing. But here's the thing. Some guys just aren't that bright.
I know.
Like, he's not concussed. His MRI is fine. He's just, not real with us.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. That's very true. Because I remember when I had a buddy of mine, this before I met you, obviously you would have been doing it. I had a buddy of mine as a trainer that was training me for Survivor. And that's some of the stuff he would set things up when I walk in a room. So when I first walked in the room, and then he like if it had 5 colored rings, and so he'd want me to remember the 5, but he didn't tell me I was supposed to be looking for the colored rings at first. Mm-hmm. And then so he did it to me the first time. I said, "What do you mean? I wasn't looking for the rings." He says, "Yeah, but you need to train yourself to be more aware when you walk into a room. When you walk into Survivor, and I know you do this stuff with your training." Yeah. So it has made me more now when I walk into a room. I do try to really pay attention to the things and where people are sitting, where the exits are, all that kind of stuff. So
I know on topic, off topic, Lou Duva, we were driving out to the Poconos. We were doing a training camp. And Lou at the time, if anybody doesn't know who Lou Duva is, he's a very famous boxing trainer, promoter, manager. He had everybody. But in any event, starts telling a story. He was down in Virginia Beach at a training camp, and his fighter, John the Beast Mugabe, who was absolutely tremendous fighter. Mm-hmm. And Duva said, "Listen, I'm not going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You can do your road work on your own. So get up, run to the 3rd stoplight, turn around, and come back. That should be about 4 miles. That's plenty." So Lou wakes up in the morning, goes down, I guess, get coffee, and somebody said, "Hey, nobody can find Mugabe." What do you mean? Well, I told him to go for a run this morning. Where is he? They found him in the town. Like the police had called, said, "Do you have a fighter here running?" Because he's running like 5:30 in the morning through the middle of the city. And They grabbed him. "What are you doing?" So Duva gets on the phone with him. He says, "I told you, run to the 3rd stoplight and turn around. What'd you do?" He says, "They were all green." So he just kept running. True story.
I didn't know where you're going with that. That's classic.
Yeah.
That's so
true
funny.
story. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great. That'd be a funny joke. Like if somebody even knew he didn't do that on purpose.
Yeah. But that's got to be careful, I guess, sometimes.
Good. All right. So our local football teams, their season is over. You're a Jets fan. I'm a Giants fan. I'll tell you what. I was watching the Giants yesterday. That was embarrassing.
You know what? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I saw online they were selling tickets like I don't know all these sites, but for $5 and $6 for great seats.
Right.
It's terrible. No one wants to go.
Okay, so I want to ask your opinion. So in the Giants game, did you watch the Giants game?
No, I did. I watched the Jets, unfortunately, and that was bad enough.
Oh God, it was awful. So at one point, the Giants were backed up to the 3-yard line or something. Maybe you saw the story, and the coach called for 2 quarterback sneaks.
I read it this morning.
Right. Yeah. So just to give them enough room so they could punt. So he didn't even have enough confidence in his players to try to. You're out of the playoffs. You got no shot of it. The game means nothing. So you basically send the message that we suck. We're
not going to compete.
They were showing fans in the stands, and they were just livid. Like they're diehard fans. It's just I don't blame them. I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen it yet, but they were questioning whether Joe Judge, the Giants quarterback or a football coach, was going to get fired today or not. So I haven't seen it yet.
I think that might do it. I mean, the Jets at least are competing. They're playing hard. I mean, the on the D side of the ball, they were really quick yesterday. Yep. Josh Allen had a terrible day throwing the ball, so they started running it with some success. But Zach Wilson, I don't know. He's a kid. So
yeah, I know that's the thing. And the team's not that good around him. That's the thing I question now. I think maybe you and I were talking about it. I can't remember, but in the past, I remember Aaron Rodgers, for example. He sat for about 3 years while Brett Favre was there.
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes sat for I think a year. Now these kids are coming in. Obviously, they're high draft picks, which means the team is not very good. So now they're coming into a team that isn't very good. They've got to learn. I mean, they're coming in right away, right out of college. I question whether the GM doesn't have enough kahunas to say, okay, we're going to draft him, but he's not going to play for a year, right? So
I think it's a marketing issue. They get a player and they got to put him out there, sell his jerseys. Nobody wants to buy a jersey with a guy with a clipboard on the sideline.
Yeah. That's true.
And the same thing. I think it's because, my opinion, NFL, NHL, really much more so. It's such a young game now because of expansion. So you have a need for that many more players. Like, watching the kid Drysdale the other night against New York. What's he, 19? I guess.
Yeah.
20? He gets a boatload of ice time.
Yeah.
And
that's certainly the way in the NHL too, right? Larry Brooks wrote an article pointing it out. This Carl McCarr made a great play in Colorado for a goal. You look at Fox here now, McDavid. These guys are all under 25 years old. And, a lot of times back when I played, even as a young player, I remember Freddie Sherrill said to me my first year, he says, "You're not going to play the first 5 minutes of each game, and you're not playing the last 5 minutes of each game. That's just it. It doesn't matter what you're doing." And he was true to his word too. So,
I think there used to be not a written formula, but a thought that you had to play, especially defensemen, so many games in the American Hockey League before you could even think of pulling that guy up to play in the National Hockey League.
I know.
Now
and again, you get some of these kids that are so good now, especially like a college kid that's coming out at 21 or 22 years old. It's again, we talked about this before. Like you look at Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, they're almost freakish how good they were at 18, 19 years old, right? You look at what's his name, Nathan McKinnon there in Colorado. I use him as an example all the time. His first 3 or 4 years were not that good, and now he's arguably one of the best players in the league. So
that's why I think we need to be patient with Lafreniere and Capo.
Yes.
They're kids yet. Some of them could still be playing junior.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Lafreniere's look better, right? Unfortunately, they lost Panarin there for a little bit. And Lafreniere got more of an opportunity. And even Gallant was very honest. He says, so he'll get an opportunity. But kind of okay, but once Panarin gets up again, then we're moving Lafreniere back down. Yeah. And he's more that old school guy. He's not picking on Lafreniere. He's not trying to hold him back. But and again, the Rangers have so many good young players too. Their top end is pretty strong. They get Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin, Strome was playing well.
They're a young team, but it's a great core. Adam Fox, Lindgren. They're younger. I think Trouba's probably the oldest guy out of the core, right? Yeah. And he's what?
I want to ask you a question, a training question. So with our girls team, our coach is really smart. She's got them going to this combine training, so it's some sports specific training, and he does a lot of stuff both with the upper body, like in a push up position, or with legs and everything, where they go down to the count of either 3 or 6. So they go down slow, like 1, you down 2, and then explode up. Yeah. What's the purpose behind that? What's actually going on with the muscles?
There's 2 things going on. When you're doing slow reps, we call that time under tension. Excuse me one second. Let me just hang up on this.
Lou Lamoriello?
Yeah. He knows we're talking. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
This kind of guy, Lou. But yeah, the time under tension is so when say you're doing a bench press, on the way down we call that the eccentric part of the movement, and most science shows that's where the most stress to the muscle occurs, and therefore there's an adaptation that makes you stronger. So that's the time under tension. The explosion part of it is it's not muscular, it's more neuromuscular. So in other words, going down really slow, we're getting stronger, developing strength, and then I want to take that strength and I want to explode. I want to use that in almost a violent movement. I shouldn't say that. Powerful, explosive movement. So that's many times we'll do that with body weight squats. You go down really slow and then do a squat jump right after it. It's effective, especially for hockey where everything's changed the direction. You got to stop and start again.
Right. So the idea is you're basically doing 2 things, and you're building up your strength because you're going down slow, and you're building up your speed and power by.
Yeah. So again, the strength part's the lowering or the eccentric of the weight of your body weight, and then the explosion is more the nervous system. But it's coupling those together that you can be strong and explosive at the same time.
Right. The coach has also got shows me how old school I am. She's got them using the ladders on. If anybody doesn't see ladders, we talk about in training. It looks like a ladder, but it's just plastic strips attached with rope, usually rope or something. And you lay them on the ground, and you do all these quick foot speed exercises. And man, I'll tell you, we've been doing it the last couple of weeks, and the girls get on the ice, and you can really see the difference in their skating. I'm really surprised. Right? It's good.
Yeah, it increases their athleticism and also just their kinetic awareness of their body. So what I used to also do is utilize the ladder a lot. But what I would do when I was either in the NHL or wherever before a game, I would take hockey tape and go to the hallway and where the lockers are, and I'd lay out foot drills, but not in a linear fashion. So it's moving this way and that way, that way. And the guys would run through, and then when they're done, I just take the tape up, roll it in a ball, and throw it away.
That's a good idea. That's really good.
Every once in a while, the synapses connect.
No. There's a lot going on there. A lot going on. I mean, maybe we talked about this last week. I can't remember, but I was really impressed. The girls, and maybe we did talk about this too. But what I really enjoyed was watching them, like, they're teenage girls, right? Teenage boys are the same. And initially, when they're looking at the drill, the coach is going through the drill first, showing them. They're going, "I can't do this." You can hear them whispering to each other, "I can't do this. I can't do it." And they'd step up, and you tell they're nervous, and maybe they'd screw it up at first. The coach would make them go back and do it again. And then once they started to get it, you could see their confidence level just take off, right?
Absolutely.
It was really good.
One of the other things I just take 2 cones, and they can separate any distance, but they have to remain that distance. So you could do it on ice or you could do it off ice. And I'm going to say, Tom, you're going to do a figure 8 around those cones twice. The first 3 times you do it, I'm going to tell you your time. Take a little break. The second set of 3 you do, I'm going to tell you the time I want you to do it in. Take a little break. The last set of 3, you're going to perform the figure 8s twice. You're going to tell me the time you did it in. And by that last set, they're really beginning to get a kinetic understanding of their body. Not kinetic is not the word, but they're getting to understand the performance in the body. So even on the ice, it's even better because, I lost an edge here, or I didn't turn properly. And it's almost scary how close they start to get, even the first time they ever do this, to guessing the time they did it in.
Oh, cool.
Because they understand now. They're starting to understand if I made a little bit, if I stepped too wide, or I stayed tight, that was quick. It's a pretty cool drill.
Very cool. You'd sent me a video of you doing some exercise going up and down the stairs.
Yeah. So what I did was I just put my inside leg up on a stair, like the 3rd or 4th stair. So I'm really at a pretty sharp angle. And the left leg is up and down straight, and I have a kettlebell in this hand. And the idea is to keep this leg out here. I can't see it, but anyhow, and bend over and get the kettlebell to the ground. You go really slow. And it's stretching out your adductors or the inside of your leg on your right leg. And on your left side, it's really strengthening and working your hip flexor. And then you flip it around and do the other side. Yeah.
Very cool. Did you think of that yourself?
Yeah, actually I did. Yeah.
Sick, man. You got nothing else to do with your life, do you?
Pretty boring life.
All right. So we're supposed to get some really cold weather. Barry Shelley, one of our followers, is telling us it's supposed to be wind chill, minus 30 or 35, where he is up in Cooperstown, New York. Training outside. So
before we get to that, Barry, I know you had asked about when we're going to Wisconsin, and that is February 10, 11 through the 14th.
Nice.
And at 6 a.m. this morning, I checked Eagle River, Wisconsin, minus 15.
Oh, man.
And Tom, I'm not skating. Ted and I are just going to be standing there coaching. We're going to be standing on essentially a giant ice cube.
Oh, that's right. Is this where they have multiple sheets of ice?
Yes, no, it's a lake. And what they do is they plow off like 20 different rings. Yeah. So it's games. It's a really cool event. I mean,
I've seen pictures of that. Yeah.
I mean, it's about the hockey, but it's just a great time. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of adult beverages flying around at 9 a.m. when these guys are playing.
Out in Wisconsin, there's the brats going on and blue ribbon,
ice fishing and everything.
You should get Larry Melnick out there.
Why not? Yeah, that's a warm day probably for him because he's up in Winnipeg, right?
He likes his. Larry's out in British Columbia, so he's not too bad. Okay. James Patrick is in Winnipeg coach.
That's who it was. Yeah.
It's cold. Yeah. But Larry likes his past blue ribbon too, his PBRs.
PBR.
I thought that beer was gone until Larry revived it. He may just single-handedly save the company.
He did because it's a very popular beer now with the younger guys. PBR.
Yeah. Oh, is it really for the young guys?
Yeah, I guess because it just kind of rolls off your mouth. PBR. It's easy to say. I don't know. But yeah.
I guess because it's kind of a classic, right? It's been around. That's pretty cool. I like that. Actually, we were joking around because what is it called? Like sober January or something like that? Or
yes.
Right, Jay? And I guess whoever did the social media for PBR, I saw some post someplace about sober January, and he made some smart aleck comment like, "Oh, you should eat instead of having sober January, you should eat ASF." And it became people were wondering, did he do it on purpose because it was brilliant? It got all this attention, right, to PBR, or did he just not know what he's doing? Either way, it was great marketing. So we decided that Larry on our Thursday show, he's a spokesperson for PBR, so he loved it.
I hope he's getting those. The checks are coming in.
He should be getting free beer. Yeah, he should at least be getting free beer. We got to work on that for him. So how is your team doing? The Warriors?
We're good. Yeah, we have January 22nd, which is coming up quickly. We have our second outdoor winter classic. So there's a gentleman by the name of Mark Eigner, really great guy. He owns a beautiful home up in Mendham, and he has literally a rink in his backyard.
Oh,
I think it's 50 by 100, so it's sizable. It's glass, right? He's got the big scoreboard. He's got a big screen. So he's got our logo in the ice this year.
really? That's great.
And then we're going to, we do the national anthem. We have a flyover recorded. And we're going to have a food truck in his driveway.
Oh, that's classic
for everybody. Yeah.
It sounds like there's a guy here in Greenwich, Rob Burnett. I think I haven't talked to him in years. I think his job was he was the executive producer for David Letterman, I think. So it sounds like it's the same kind of story here in backcountry Greenwich. He's got like the 4-acre estate.
Yeah.
And it's funny. He's not a very good player at all, but he just loves hockey. I see the Ranger games every once in a while. And he built a rink in his backyard. And he has a league that plays out of there. The BHL, the Burnett Hockey League. And you don't play on one team. You rotate around. All the players rotate around on different teams. They then get to the point where they keep everybody's record. So each individual player's record on these teams. It's great to be able to do it. So at the end, then they have this final night where all the top 20 guys in the records play, put them up on 2 different teams. Same thing. He gets the cheerleaders there. He's got the food truck.
That's cool.
Lights go. He's this very creative guy. The camera crew's there, and he puts a video together after with the music and everything. It's just fantastic. And but it's
so
funny.
He has cheerleaders.
Yes, he has cheerleaders.
I got to call Ted.
Yes, definitely. What's he thinking about? He doesn't have cheerleaders. Yes, sure. Actually, we can get him. I've got a couple of girls that have a business. They do that. They were ice girls too, and they live. I think once. Yeah, I can help with that too. Yes, good.
All right, let's talk about that.
Perfect. Good deal. Be good.
And we're looking forward to that. And then of course we leave for Wisconsin. And then after that, we got a couple charity games lined up for the spring.
Good deal.
So
how many games you end up playing each year?
I would say a dozen, somewhere around there. Because you get a couple tournaments here and there, and a game here and a game there. We really, I think because we're still untracking ourselves from the whole COVID thing,
Right.
And let me just hang up on whoever this is.
Yeah, that's problem. All right, so Barry is making an offer here. Barry's a great guy. For people that don't know Barry, so Barry was a veteran, served in the military. He's in military police for years. So he's an event every year. I had players from Louis Youngblood and Slapshot here last year to play, and this year I'll be having local fire department and police departments come and play. Would like to invite your veteran team up to play next year.
Wow. We would love to do that, Barry. We would absolutely jump all over an opportunity like that. No doubt. So we'll do it.
It's a hike for me. I'd love to get up there for that too, but I gotta figure out timing and all that kind of stuff. So
I used to be like you. I start thinking about the negatives.
Yeah, I know.
But you know what? You know who taught me this? I just learned this recently. Bill Brown.
Yeah.
To him, everything is an adventure.
I know.
We have to start because I was thinking about Wisconsin. I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be freezing, and the travel there is gonna. No, man, look forward to it. It's gonna be a great adventure.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a great adventure.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna make this work, Barry. Okay, we gotta figure it out. Hopefully, we gotta find out the dates for this year and everything like that. If it isn't this year, we'll be up there for next year. But
absolutely,
you know what? And you're right too, because I tell that to other people. Just say yes to your life.
Yeah.
Like people I think are afraid sometimes to say yes. Then they go to do things and they fail at it. Then everybody's saying to them, "Well, you told us you could do it." Well, I have learned from people like you and Bill Brown and everything. Just say yes, and even if you screw up the first time, just say, "Listen, I haven't not done it. I just haven't done it yet. That's all. I'm going to do it. It's just a matter of when I get it done." So,
I just like that whole idea of everything is an adventure. Like with Will, every time he does something, or I organize something, like whatever, it's always we had a great adventure. It's all about the adventure.
It's true. It was very. I was so lucky that way with the whole Survivor thing. Because people go like, "So what'd you get out of Survivor?" It was great. It's a fantastic adventure. Yeah.
Try it.
I agree totally. So what else you got planned? Anything exciting? Anything else going on? We're done. So I know it's way off, like you swim across the Hudson, but when do you get started with preparing for all that?
I personally start cranking up somewhere around May because June we start to do dial-in swims where the guys do a couple test runs to get the currents. And then I start to assemble a team that's going to help me and any other logistics that come along the way. We each time we get it gets a little, I wouldn't say easier, but it's smarter because we've learned from the previous ones.
Well, we learned this year too, right? We had way more swimmers this year, and we didn't have enough police officers. So if guys wanted to, they basically were forced to all stay together, swim to one boat, and then stay together. Whereas a lot of the guys, they wanted to get going, right? So I don't know how.
Yeah. Well, so I think what needs to happen there, Tom, is I think it's got to come from the top, us saying, guys, this isn't competition. This is
But
an
it's
event.
but it's funny to say we're the same way too. But these are all Navy SEALs.
I was going to say, get 140 alpha males together and say it's not a competition, guys. What?
Everything's a competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was funny because I remember again the first one that I was involved in was actually the second swim, but there wasn't that many swimmers. Well, there's still a lot, but so the police were able to now let them all swim across at their own pace. But this year there was like 3 times as many swimmers, and I'll never forget because the one guy got to the second barge, I think it was the guy that was in the lead, the one Navy SEAL, and they told him he only had to wait. And he was a gentleman. He was polite, but you could tell he was best. Like he wanted to go, he had to wait for everybody else. Yeah.
And what's funny about that, he beat the 4 Division I collegiate swimmers.
Yeah.
To both barges.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes, he did. Yeah. Yes. I remember because he was, I didn't know who they were, and he was asking them who they were. He didn't know if they're SEALs or not.
Right.
And they said, oh, we're swimmers. And he says, oh, you guys should join the teams. They go, no.
No. And he just cycled out. He just had retired from being a BUD/S instructor at Coronado Island.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, very nice guy.
Yeah, he was a real. I didn't know if he was being a smart aleck or not. They asked his name when he got because everybody had to check in when they got to each barge, and they asked him his name. Do you remember his name?
His first name was Mark. I don't recall his last name.
But then he announced himself as Mark, whatever it was, Esquire.
Yeah.
Was he being a smart aleck, or was that really how he?
He may have been an attorney. I don't know. I mean, so, he wouldn't be the first guy that was an attorney or in finance and then became a SEAL.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's possible. Or he might have been just breaking charges.
Our buddy Ron James has got a good memory here. I'll tell the story again. It was classic. I think you might have been standing right there.
I was there. Yeah.
So this one woman, really nice woman, we've kept in touch with, fantastic person. She had gotten hypothermia, shaking all over, and I'd taken my t-shirt off. I wasn't, nobody else had shirts on because they're all swimming, and put it on. They put blankets all over and everything. So I'm standing. I've got a big scar on my stomach where I got my spleen taken out. And one SEAL was standing there, and he had a big scar in his stomach too. And he says, "Oh, we got matching scars." And I'm thinking I'm all tough, like, I got my spleen taken out and everything. He says, "Oh yeah, did you get your spleen taken out too?" And he was hilarious the way he said it. He says, "No, I got shot. They had to go in there and move some organs around." I felt like such a wuss, right? Like I'm comparing my spleen scar to him getting shot. So it was,
it's William Branham, great guy. He was a SEAL for 26 years.
Is that right? Eh?
Yeah.
He was so funny the way he said it. Too. It's like he was setting me up for the whole thing. He knew that. So, there's this guy. I got a big scar on my stomach. Yeah, that's funny. Good stuff.
It's possible.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, good show. We'll see you again next week. Before
we go, this is
Wisconsin.
February. Oh, we leave February 10 on that's a Thursday. We come back, fly home Monday.
Good. And where are you staying? Like a Motel 6 or when you're in there?
Actually, that's what it is.
Is it Motel 6?
I swear to God. Like it's because I guess I get the feeling it's a big like summer resort with cabins all over the place and cottages. But we could have done that. And then Ted said there's a Motel 6 in town. I said, get that because we're gonna have to walk to restaurants and everything like that. I don't want to be out like where in the middle of the night there's guys with clown masks all over through the window.
Yeah. Hey, before I forget to Ron James, he's in retired Navy. So thank you very much for
there. You go. Thank you for your service.
So, hey, all right, everybody.
Quick shout out, Tom. This is my moose from Metro Moose.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty sad to say these kids were it was a junior team. They're all probably about 34 years old now. But Ben Morris, I know you're on here. You were a goaltender. He's from Omaha. Dave Stewart up in BC, up in Burnaby, British Columbia. All you guys know who you are. Let's go, Moose.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, buddy. See you next week.